Welcome back to No Sleep Teal, show dedicated to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Heavy discussion of our favorite AFC South team. Travis Reier alongside Evan Reier, or as we like to refer to the team expert here on the program, Jag Reier, as he's known in some
Jaguar.
circles as well. Ev,
Official birth certificate name.
yeah,
Yeah.
I pushed for it, and his mom wouldn't allow for it. But anyway, hey, Evan, we have some things to talk about. It is the off season. We are post NFL draft, so it's feeling a little bit like a letdown. We've got some OTAs and some off season work though that's of interest. And what we're gonna do today, Ev, I thought we just kind of work the show in reverse. We typically cap things with news and notes to get out of here on a weekly basis. But that's where we're going to start today because there are some noteworthy things that have come across our social media timelines here, even in the last 12 hours or so. So let's start right there with news and notes with a couple of things that have caught your attention.
Yeah. Well, I mean, first and foremost, it came out today that Donna Deegan, mayor of Jacksonville, and the Jaguars have reached a deal on the new stadium renovations, and that will be released on Tuesday. I guess that would be May 14th, about 6 days from now. As far as the reports are saying, the deal is done. They're just going to present it to the city council. Now, the city council could, there could be some hubbub or some friction there, but for the most part it doesn't really seem like they're going to step in. Overall, that's just good news. We've talked in the past about, of course, when billionaire owners are asking taxpayers to pay hundreds of millions of dollars for a stadium, it's not ideal, but it's something that if you want to keep an NFL team in Jacksonville, this is something you just have to kind of roll with. This is kind of the price that every city in America is paying for their professional sports teams. And I love Everbank, but it needs or TIA Bank, whatever bank is sponsoring it right
The bank.
now.
Yeah.
The bank, lock it down. I love it, but renovations are not going to be a bad thing. The little additions like the pools and the screens and stuff are great, but they never, like, basically since it was built, there hasn't been significant renovations to the stadium itself besides those little add-ons in the amphitheater. So very curious to see what that looks like. All those renders, I don't know if you've seen the renders, Dad, but
Yeah. Pretty
all
crazy.
those, yeah, I mean, it looks like SoFi Stadium or something like that, or the Vegas Allegiant Stadium, which is cool. I mean, if you want to host another Super Bowl, if you want to make that a very awesome venue, you got to do stuff like this.
There's Florida, Georgia to take into consideration with
Yeah,
all this too. Although I don't get the sense this time around it is as much of a component in this
yeah,
as it was the first time around. Although just getting an NFL team was reason enough to do what the city did with what it was essentially a new stadium, the West Upper Deck, all that was really left from the previous structure, and kind of going to be similar this time around. I mean, it's going to be a state of the art, futuristic stadium as it's being referred to. And you know what? You just don't see cities right now walking away from the NFL. Now, I guess you could point to San Diego, but it was really a situation where you got the sense that the ownership there wanted to be in LA no matter what, especially with
yeah.
SoFi going in, some of the concessions that were being made. So, it will be interesting from the city perspective when this presentation takes place. I would think that, as is the case with politics, you'll have some council people that get on record with serious
Yeah,
concerns and things like that because
due
at some
diligence.
well, it's all about some point down the road. If things go in
Yeah.
the ditch, then
Well,
people
I
like to
told him
be
not
on
to
the
do
they like to be
it.
on the record both ways. Okay, I'll begrudgingly agree, right? But
Yeah,
not without not
some
without some
reservations.
reservations. I said
Yeah.
back then, is what we'll be reminded of 10 or 15 years from now. But all in all, good news on that front. Donna Deegan, you figured was going to help get this thing done. She's a Jacksonville native, so she can certainly understand the importance, the impact that the Jaguars, the NFL, have had on the First Coast. What else you got for us, Ev, from the Jaguar perspective?
Well, the other story that I kind of saw recently, a report that came out today by my friend and coworker John Shipley, or yesterday, excuse me, was that well, he did a write up on it that I was reading. The initial report actually came from Jeremy Fowler over at ESPN, but the Jags were very much ready to take Terrion Arnold. It was apparently very, very close between him and Brian Thomas Jr. And they went with Brian Thomas Jr., which I guess it's interesting just to think about because when Terrion Arnold was there, I think a lot of us after he'd been mocked to the Jags so much over the previous month or two, we thought that that was almost a given, like that they were going to take a corner and go for Arnold there, but did not. Uh, so I think part of that is just interesting to consider. And I had the thought of like, would I have been happier drafting Tyrion Arnold? Yeah, for sentimental reasons, but I wouldn't have necessarily felt like I wouldn't have necessarily felt like that was like that much better of a pick than Brian Thomas Jr. I don't know how you feel.
Well, I know that what it gives us is sort of a tethering between Brian Thomas Jr. and Terrion Arnold now moving forward. If Terrion
Yeah,
Arnold goes on to make 6 Pro Bowls and
yeah.
Brian
If
Thomas
he
Jr. for
all
whatever
pro,
reason
yeah,
isn't productive, then we'll all be able to come back with the hammer. And as
absolutely.
fans, we're typically a lot quicker to do that than to acknowledge that 6 or 7 years from now down the road, if it's the other way around to say, look, looks like Trent Baalke and the Jags got it right with Brian Thomas Jr. Now, totally different positions. I will say this, it just further solidifies, underscores what we had heard from the Jags after that first round pick, that they essentially got what they wanted even after trading down. So,
Yeah.
right now, just on the face of that, you have to say job well done to the Jags.
You also have to wonder, they traded back and then Quinion Mitchell got taken. They may have, that was another guy that they were very interested in. Maybe that's the other kind of tethering point is you traded back,
He's part
you
of
didn't
that
get
too.
Quinion. Maybe they thought that Tyrion Arnold would go first. Which also, if you go look at some other stuff I've seen, Arnold was like apparently the Raiders wanted to take him. He was like a coin toss at the 13 spot too. So Arnold actually could have been taken 12, 13 spots higher than he actually did end up getting selected, which is just interesting to consider. But that's the NFL draft. Stuff fluctuates heavily. Really, the only other news that's kind of popping up is Zay Jones is making his rounds. He's also visiting. I think we talked last week. He had already, it already been reported that he was going to go talk to the Titans. That has come and gone. He is now talking with the Cardinals and with the Cowboys. Um, it's not that I'm worried about Zay playing against Zay Jones, but man, I just don't want to see Jaguars playing for AFC South team. It happens so much. Like it just seems like everybody would get
Incestuous.
rid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just hate it. We've talked about it before, but I literally can't stand it. It's just annoying. Hopefully, who knows? Zay is a fit for Dak Prescott. Doesn't sound like a bad idea. It's like a kind of a like for Michael Gallup now that he's gone.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's
you
I
know,
think that's pretty good in terms of
yeah. So,
analogies, comparisons
but
there. And yeah, you just like to avoid those Zay Jones revenge games as
yeah,
much as
because Zay
possible
Jones is going
because
to go
there's
for
going to be
300.
enough of those, right?
Yeah, he's going to go for 400 yards next season, and 250 will come in the two games against the Jags, 4 touchdowns. I mean, I just, Will Levis breakout games. I can already see it. Uh, which also, speaking of which, kind of thinking of games next year, we do have the NFL schedules coming out in like weeks, so that'll be something to talk about finally as well. Because, like you said earlier, it is slow right now. If you can't tell, the stadium news is a big deal, but other than that, we're kind of just monitoring the radar a little bit.
Yeah, new stadium coming in, but we're still going to send the Jags to Europe for half a month. Enjoy it.
Well, also we didn't talk about that. I mean, the Jaguars still haven't established where they're going to play during those renovations. Is it Gainesville? Is it
The Big O, Orlando.
is Orlando? I still don't think people talk. I don't think it's like I don't think it's the primary option, but I still think that London could be on the table for like a
Oof.
whole, and that would be so
Really?
brutal. I think, well, like, maybe not for a whole season, but I think they could up it even more. Like, they
Like
could go
half the
4
home
ga
games? Yeah.
Yeah, and that would suck brutally, but, I mean, if the Jags know what they're doing, they should be charging peanuts for tickets
I
that
wonder if
t
this will come up
those
though
2
with that
seasons.
presentation with the city council about, okay, well, are you still going to keep playing home games in London if we're going to sign off on this deal for a
Yeah,
stadium
that's a
here?
great point too. Hey, that would
It
actually
would
be
for
fantastic.
me. I mean, if I was a city council person, I'd be like, great. Well, here we go with more than $500 million to help you out. So are you still going to be taking a game to London? Can we, how's
Yeah,
that going to work?
no, that's the thing though, is I think you would have to pry that London game out of Khan's dead cold
Dead
hands.
fans. Yeah.
Yeah, to
That's
yeah,
his
to
NRA game.
he is not giving up that money. He is like, it's just, and all the stuff that comes from that. I don't see it. I was laughing thinking about Valdosta. Come on, let's just ride up the road. Come on,
Been
let's
to that stadium, been to both those stadiums. Lowndes High School right off
That's what I was gonna
I-75
say.
right there.
Lowndes. Every time you drive up through there
Just
on your
wheel
way to
in, wheel
you
out.
see Lowndes, and that's a
Yeah.
big freaking high school stadium.
Bazemore
Just
Hyder Stadium is the legendary Valdosta High venue.
stadium.
That's more
Yeah,
over near Valdosta State University. I like that, Ev. I actually do like
yeah. You can go to
Valdosta.
the and you
I
can
I'll
go
take
to
anything over Orlando. Just
yeah. That's
no
just
Orlando.
yeah.
And if you have
Uh,
to play in Orlando, play in the MLS stadium. It's way better.
Honestly,
Way
yeah, I
better
love
than the
it.
damn
We
Citrus
went
Bowl.
for the first time last year. We
Yeah.
really rainy day,
Not
but
big enough,
overall
but damn it
but
was
it's
nice.
nice. Yeah, it's nice. No, and then while you're in Valdosta, you buy the Jags ticket, and if you buy the Jags ticket, you get to go to what is the
Adventure
theme park?
what is it?
Uh,
Adventure Landing or not Adventure Landing? That was a
that's the old school
Wild
Jacksonville
Adventures. Is
Wild
that
Adventures. Yes, you
yes,
get to go on the
yes.
safari, free safari ticket for the kids. There
Yeah.
you go. It's great.
Redneck
Hey,
Walt Disney. Costco
I'm
Walt Disney.
I'm spitting gold, Shad. If you wanna hit me up, we can
Bring
talk
me
about
in. I got
plant.
ideas. I'm an
I
idea
got ideas.
guy.
I know how to make y'all money in Valdosta specifically.
Well, I mean that Southeast Georgia market is just a boom.
Untapped. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. There's a
I mean, you
lot
got to
of
get up into Brunswick, Valdosta,
Brunswick. Yeah.
Kingsland.
Jeez.
I
Yeah, these
mean,
are Jaguar towns.
we
These
love
are
our Southeast.
Jaguar
We love all both
South.
of our Southeast Georgia viewers too, by the way, here on No
Yeah,
Sleep
absolutely.
Teal.
We
So
very
not
much
we're not
appreciate y'all.
shaming. We're not shaming
Keep
Southeast
supporting
Georgia.
that Larry's in Brunswick. Don't let it
Saint Si
close.
yes, the Larry's up.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's like the Larry's Parkway up through there.
It's honestly every time I'm in Brunswick, I go. It doesn't matter what I'm doing there. I'm not there often these days, but yeah.
By the
Uh,
way, Larry's,
but
we got space for you, if you wanna
average,
do a
yeah, yeah.
trade. We'll do a
Please,
trade,
we'll have the Rakes brothers on
Yeah.
the two brothers or whatever that run the show over there. We can
The
bring
ultimate,
you in.
the big one, yeah, we'll do whatever you wanna do. Hey,
I'll literally wear a monkey outfit. I'll do
King
it.
Kong.
Yeah,
Hey, I have GM and head coach connectivity was something you wanted to talk about today on the programs. I guess, it's scenario season, right? It's list
right.
season, it's hypothetical season. We don't like to be overly negative here on the program, but coming off the kind of finish that the Jaguars endured and the fan base endured, there is obviously some negativity about this team as it looks ahead to
Absolutely.
the 2024 season. So, sort of, I guess, what worst case scenarios if this thing does start to go off the rails in 2024? How do you see that chain reaction maybe impacting the rank and file when it comes to the front office and right down to Doug Peterson?
Well, I was thinking about this and I kind of put it in like a scale of 5 of where do I think their job security, where is Balky and Peterson's job security at, and where, at what level are they connected? Um, I think they're both at like a 2, which is to say they they could, let's say, miss the playoffs and not get fired, like let's say the Jags go 9-8 next year, barely miss the playoffs. I would not, if I was a betting man, wink, I would put it on Shad Khan not firing them. And that's not because they don't deserve to be fired. It's just because of the way that Shad Khan has run the organization over the past decade. I mean, you look at how long Dave Caldwell got, how long Gus Bradley got. I know that there have also been coaches that weren't here for very long, but when they like guys, they stick with them, and they very clearly have Trent Baalke's back, and they also still very much believe in Doug. So I think I would put both of their job security at about a 2. I think there is a world in which Baalke could stay while Doug gets fired. I don't think there's a situation in which Baalke gets fired but Doug stays. You know what I mean? Like if they clean out, I think if Baalke goes, I think Doug goes too. And I think but I think vice versa. Unfortunately, there is a situation where Baalke can stay while Doug is on the outs.
Yeah, it's hard to make definitive statements about it given what we've seen in the past with those
Yeah,
situations at the general manager post and also the head coach. I guess if the perception is that the personnel isn't up to par and Peterson gets about as much out of a team as he can, but it feels like the Jags just aren't going to get over the hump, even if the Jags are competitive and let's say 9-8, 10-7, make the playoffs, lose in the first round, something like that. But even in that scenario, goes back to what you said. We've seen coaches do a lot less and GMs produce a lot less and hang around with the ownership and Shad Khan making those calls. So I'm with you. I think in terms of where it sits right now, kind of like the spice level at my favorite Thai restaurant, right? You can go one through
yeah,
five, two being a low medium, not really firing you up. I think that's fair when it comes to both those guys. And what I wanted to ask you about too, X factors for regime sustainability, again, as it relates to Trent Baalke and Doug Peterson. Who are some of those folks? And look, you think players first and foremost, but I think you could point to Press Taylor, right?
yeah,
In relation
yeah.
to Doug Peterson, it doesn't have to be necessarily a player, but certainly those are the guys you think about first and foremost.
No, for sure. But that's honestly a great point. When we first kind of broached this topic, we were kind of talking players, but I didn't even really think about some of the other staff members. And while I think Press Taylor is a big deal in that sense, I mean, Ryan Nielsen is huge for both Balky and Peterson because after the defensive miscues of last year and Nielsen's kind of background, and they kind of take these guys from LSU that are Nielsen guys and Matt House guys, they've really committed to him. Like he's not like, they're investing some resources into him. With of course the addition of Eric Armstead. Um, so Nielsen also matters a ton. Like this Jaguars defense, could make or break, both whether Balky and Peterson stick around. But when you think of players, just said Armstead, I mean, that is, one of the biggest investments that the Jags have made on the defense. Like, in recent years, I mean, there's really not a ton of guys other than maybe, a Lillicon that are, guys that came from elsewhere. They invested in free agency to go grab or trade or whatever. So Armstead comes to mind. And then before we hit the offensive side, I'll mention kind of a trio of young guys. And, these are all names we talk about a lot, but, kind of that trio of Devin Lloyd, Trayvon Walker, Tyson Campbell. When you think about the long-term future of this team, that's kind of your core. Like, Josh Allen is your leader and your guy, and he's leading but in that second level, and Alokan's kind of in the same tier, but at that second level, those three dudes succeeding is really going to be a massive, massive, kind of tell on, is this franchise going to be successful over the next, 3 to 5 years? Are those guys getting their second contracts? Are those guys still playing for the Jags in a few years? And I think, in Trayvon Walker's case, he's on pace. The tape's still not especially great for Trayvon, but 10 sacks last year, you have to feel good about that. He's, taking steps. Lloyd looked a little bit better last year, but then on the other side, Tyson Campbell, kind of had a nightmare season in 2023.
Yeah,
So,
injury. Yeah.
uh, so I would say those three dudes in Armstead, when I think about the defensive side of the ball and you think about the long-term sustainability of the team, that's what comes to mind. Do you have any thoughts on that, or do you want to
Yeah,
hit the
Josh
offense?
Allen too. I mean, obviously,
Yeah,
he can
yeah,
cure a lot. A guy like that can cure a lot of what ails you, in
yeah,
terms of your secondary concerns. Having a guy like that can get after the quarterback if Trayvon takes another step, and then maybe the adaptability of the personnel to this scheme under Ryan Nielsen,
absolutely.
how that goes about. Obviously, going to be important. I think that the pieces match up pretty well. I think Devin Lloyd is a perfect example of this coming up, and his development is sort of connected to, along with just the linebacker position in general. Given the picks you made in the draft just a couple of
Yeah,
years ago, you kind of had to re-up Oluokun, right? Because of
right.
some of the stuff that you've done draft wise, maybe here in the last 2 or 3 years. So it all seems to kind of tie into one another, no doubt about it. And as we think about X factors, I don't know if there's a bigger one than Trevor Lawrence. Obviously, if Trevor is
Yeah.
better and Trevor is healthy over the course of 16, 17 games, that should lead to better results in 2024. So, how much is there even too much when it comes to Trevor Lawrence and thinking about this second deal that looks to be very much in his immediate future?
Yeah, that's the thing is, it seems like we're going to have a deal done this offseason. That's what all signs are pointing towards. But in one of the first episodes of this show, I kind of mentioned that, why would, there's incentive for Trevor to not accept anything less than, just a super deal, like not, I don't think he's done anything that could warrant him an AAV record setting kind of deal, like set the market kind of situation, but a top five type situation. And the reason for that is that the Jags still clearly want to hitch their wagon to him. He has incentive to not only just cash out right now, but if the number's not right, he's like, okay, well, I'm going to play this season,
Bet
and
on
then you can
himself.
pay me, and
Yeah.
you can pay me way more. Even what's crazy
Kind of
is,
like what happened with Dak Prescott potentially, right?
yeah, yeah, and well, and now the Cowboys are in
Yeah.
a pickle because they didn't invest. So that could be a statement of, okay, well, go ahead and give Trevor whatever he's asking right now, because you're going to have to pay at some point. But it's interesting. Over the cap provides like valuations of players, which is, this isn't a hard science or anything. A lot of, kind of moving parts here, but over the cap's valuation for Trevor Lawrence's play in 2023, $33 million salary, which
Wow.
is not crazy for NFL quarterbacks right now, for like top 15 NFL quarterbacks. But Trevor Lawrence was maybe not a top 15 NFL quarterback last season. So it was on the fence. He was right there. So, that's the thing is, if it's a deal where it's like 5 years, 150 million, you sign that right now. Like, you don't like even ask questions. Uh, but if Trevor's asking for, I don't know, let's say 50,
Yeah, 40 plus even.
like 45 is where you start to get really like,
Mm.
dang, that's tough. Like, yeah, because yeah, other than a back half of the season stretch in 2022, Trevor's play has been fine. Just not terrible, but just fine, just
But,
good.
if I'm
And
Trevor's representation, I point at Kirk Cousins too, you know?
yeah,
How
Kirk
much is
literally
too
just
much for
got,
my guy? Really?
yeah,
And I know
that's
Kirk isn't a 45 million plus, is he? Kind of guy. Um,
Stats wise, last year he played really, really well before he got injured, and then same thing. 2022 he was like Kirk last year before he got injured was on pace for maybe his best season since like joining the Vikings. So I think part of that is that I think the rebuttal I would
Kirk
say to the
Cousins just
Trevor's
got a
reference,
4 year Kirk Cousins just got a 4-year, $180 million deal from the Falcons.
yeah,
Now,
but 45 million a year, yeah.
but how much is guaranteed? I need to see the guaranteed money. I
I
mean,
think the first 2 years are guaranteed, so I think it's about 90 to
90.
100 million guaranteed.
So, if I'm Trevor's people, I'm saying, you don't think we're gonna beat
You don't
Kirk?
think I can
Yeah.
beat Kirk? Yeah.
Yeah, you don't think I can
Uh,
at least be that?
$100 million guaranteed for Kirk. By the way, I went ahead and grabbed
Yeah.
that $50 million signing bonus. I forgot. Jesus Christ.
So yeah, you're
But my,
probably looking at right now 45 to 50.
that's probably what it's
And a
going to
lot
be.
of
I
that
mean,
guaranteed because Trevor isn't going into his third or fourth deal.
yeah, it's his first, and this is the moment to. Yeah, I mean, I think something that you could potentially see. Maybe the Jags give him like the AAV he wants, or like a high AAV, but do a shorter term deal. Like instead of a 5 year extension, it's a
You do
2 or 3.
well, I think you probably have to do 4 with a
It's got to be
with a
4.
young I
Yeah,
think so. I mean,
three in a year, three in
for a
a
young
player option,
quarterback,
maybe.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's weird because he's in a. It's so weird when you have a situation like this because it is a prove it kind of situation we're walking into for 2024, and but at the same time, it's like quarterback play is obviously so critical, and it's so hard to find good quarterback play at the NFL level, like consistent week after week, year after year. So yeah, it's brutal. I will say you talked about like what Trevor's representation would say about, well, what about Kirk? If I was a Jags, I'd be like, have you seen the Atlanta Falcons offseason? They are not playing the same game we are playing. Like they just paid Kirk and then they drafted Michael Penix. So it's like
Yeah, weird.
I don't know if that's a fair, they might, be off the sauce or something. I'm not really sure what's going on in Atlanta.
I'm not a
Um,
capologist,
but
but when I look at the Cousins deal, what I see is 100 million guaranteed over 3 seasons, really.
yeah,
Um, 90 million it says in the report that came with his signing in 2024 and 2025 total, and then another
yeah,
10 million in 2026. Now,
yeah,
cap wise, I
they
don't
can,
know what all that means, but that's the
yeah,
guaranteed
they
money.
can essentially the Falcons are pretty much locked in, like without a major dead cap hit until 2026. And then going into the 2026 season, they could release him, but they're going to take a dead cap hit of $25 million, which is
Yeah.
massive, but also doable. And then it's another, they take 12.5 million off of that going into the next season. So yeah, I mean, I think, really, yeah, probably got to be thinking it's going to be at least 40 million, close to 50. Uh, Spot Track,
I think it's going to be 180 million guaranteed somewhere in that neighborhood.
yeah, 4 or 5 years or
Yeah.
4 years for
Or
180
like no
million.
6
Yeah.
years. 6 years with like
Oh,
180 million of it. I'm thinking more in terms of years.
so Spot Track also offers, like I mentioned, over the caps valuation thing. That was their valuation for his play last season. They said he was worth about a $33 million a year contract. Uh, the market value function over at Spot Track suggests that his market value right now, like his next contract, should be 6 years, $280 million.
Yeah.
So that's a $46 million, $46.5 million a year
Yeah.
salary. That would make him the fifth highest paid QB and the fifth highest paid player in the NFL. Period. Um, so
Mahomes did 10 years, 450 million, and he's going to make
yeah,
208 million just between 2000. He was going to make over a 4-year stretch 208. So that's 50.
yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
51, 52 million guaranteed a year, I guess.
Yeah, like you go look at the contracts for other QBs around the NFL, like Burrow's got 5 years, 275. That's probably what Burrow is worth when he's healthy and stuff. And then you look at like Justin Herbert, he's got 5 years, 262 million. Slightly above 50 million a year. Those are more recent deals. So I don't know. There's a very real possibility that the Jags have to go above 50 to get them too. I mean,
Quarterbacks are kind of like housing bubbles too, you know.
you just
I
have
mean,
to.
when the market is that much in favor of the seller, it's not what they appraise for. It's what you can get for it,
The problem
you
is the
know.
Jags ain't going to be able to go refinance. they they're
No,
not.
no, no,
Trevor's
no.
not gonna.
No.
You're right. Yeah, the interest rates are.
Well,
Yeah,
Tom Brady used to do that a lot.
yeah, it's
He
true.
was willing to
But
refinance for the betterment of the
he's a
team, I
winner.
guess.
He's a winner. He was committed
Oh
to the
gosh,
to the
I
organization.
could do another 30 minutes on that roast Sunday night, by the way.
It
So
was
good.
great. That was fantastic.
So
Everything
good.
about that was really really fun.
Ricky
But yeah,
Glazer just killed it.
I
Yeah.
yeah, I would say personal feelings to nip this in the bud or finish this off. Uh, Anything above 50 million feels like too much right now.
6 to 8 years is what he's gonna get Ev for between 300
45 is the perfect. 45 is a number I'd be so happy with. 45 a year
300 and 400 million. Now, that's not the guaranteed money. That's just what the total's gonna look like.
for sure. No,
So,
that's the other thing about anything. I mean, if the Jags sign him to a
first
huge
3 to 4
extension,
years of the deal, he'll be 45 million plus.
yeah, guaranteed 45 mil,
Yeah.
salary or through the signing bonus, however they do
That's
it.
what my
So
guess is. That's my
yeah,
Jerry
that's
Maguire guess for you right
yeah.
here on the
Help
program.
me, help you. Uh, now
Show Trev
I
the
would
money.
yeah, show me the money. No, I think 45 6 years, 45 years, 6 years. I'd be very very cool with that. Um,
That's
you know,
that's
uh,
270 total in 6
but
years,
I will say
45.
if you are paying a
And about
quarterback,
200 of that's probably gonna 170 to 200 will be guaranteed, I would think.
but the expectation after that contract has to be Trev Weeks. We think out of 5 years you're going to make the Pro Bowl 4 out of 5 times.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah, I
you're
mean,
gonna,
that's what you're paying
yeah,
for.
yeah.
You're paying at least Pro
The
Bowl money. What you would
the
like is all pro money, but I mean, you're still
yeah,
gonna have Mahomes in the
yeah.
AFC and
You're looking for second team,
yeah,
on that one. But
second
no,
team all pro.
I think we're about in the same boat there.
Yeah, pretty close, I think. All right, Ev, you got anything else for us before we get out of here on a early May edition of No Sleep Teal?
Not really. It's like we said earlier, it's pretty dead out there right now. So if anything, you're kind of just watching what's going on with the random offseason stories like Rashi Rice, which, geez, man.
That's brutal.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
mean, it seems like every off season there's one of though at least one of those situations. I mean,
it always,
none are
yeah,
worse than really. Well, I mean, there's some right there with it, but you go back there and Hernandez and some other situations. But Henry Ruggs the third, in
yeah.
Vegas. I mean, it's a shame, really.
Well,
And
even the
there's still
Jags
things
don't.
that need to play out. I understand all that, but
Sure, sure.
you
Yeah,
know,
there's legal proceedings and all that stuff. But
yeah,
I mean, at the very least, it seems like, the reports are that he's going to face a half season suspension from the league. So, but now that he's also being investigated for a second thing, it's just like, who knows? But hey, I mean, it's a long time ago now, but I remember Justin Blackman. I remember wondering if he was ever going to play for the Jags again and everything else, and Caldwell coming out and being like, no, he's not. He did
yeah,
not
that was
show
a
up to
shame.
any of the. Yeah, I mean, he was so good too.
Yeah,
I could do a whole 30-minute podcast on Justin Blackman and the
yeah.
hype level because you go watch those Oklahoma State clips and it's
He
just
was that
ridiculous, man.
guy. He was
He was
that
that dude.
guy. He was
But
that dude.
Jacksonville does some things to you, Jacksonville's
Well,
you get
Duval,
you get into Duval County and it changes you.
yeah, unless
It's not
Duval's in your DNA like
you're
us,
not you're not in yeah, yeah, we're built for it. We're
Lake
built different.
Shore, West
Shoot,
Side,
shoot.
we got the
I don't have a
representation.
Jacksonville hat. I'm rocking my Piggly Wiggly merch right now.
Well,
So, uh,
the pig barbecue on Normandy.
yeah, that's true, man.
There you go.
You just made me
You
mad.
should have just rolled with it, dude. Like
Oh man,
you could have just went
I
with,
had
yeah,
it.
this is my limited edition pig
Yeah,
barbecue.
one of
Yeah,
one,
yeah,
rare,
they gave me
vintage.
this. Yeah,
That might be. I might have to make the trip over to the west side when I come down this weekend
yeah,
because I do miss the pig. That place is really really good.
yeah.
So
We can swing by
yeah,
the jug and get a cold beer right there on Lake.
yeah, yeah.
If
I tell everybody about the
we
jug.
really feel chippy.
Yeah, exactly. And then a game of like you mentioned earlier, game of pool at Perfect Rack, and that's a great day right there.
Yeah, gotta
Uh,
hit the hill. Gotta go swing through Murray Hill, see
oh
what's
yeah,
going
the
on. They
spot.
got a
Absolutely.
roundabout now there in Murray Hill. So,
Where the like
yeah,
on the
right
near
there
the
at
train
the
track or
right there near the train tracks. Yeah,
okay, yeah.
yeah, we'll
I
see
guess
how
it's
that
not a
goes.
bad. Yeah, I'm not sure. The traffic's probably not going to get any better. I can't. That when you go to Murray Hill on like a poppin' night, it's just kind of you just throw your hands up and say, "It's
The
going to take
hill
me
is
10 minutes to go a block."
the hill has come a long way since yours truly's youth. Back in the
Yeah,
day, you'd pretty much roll up the sidewalks about 5 o'clock, and not anymore there. Hey, Evan, as always, a lot of fun right here on No Sleep Teal. If you like the program, hit us with a like. If you like the channel, subscribe to Grateful Sports Food Travel right here on YouTube. Evan, we'll do it again soon, my man.
sounds like a plan. See y'all later.
For Evan Reier, Travis Reier, thanking you once again for joining us. Until next time, so long, everybody.